Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on a big matchup coming up here in the Big Ten in Week 6 of this 2021 college football season, and it'll be over the Michigan Wolverines and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Huge matchup for each of these teams heading into Week 6. We got Michigan on one side. This is a team who's now a top 10 team, and they're definitely a big contender in the Big Ten East. I mean, that Big Ten East division is wide open right now. I mean, with Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan, all three of these teams are definitely capable of winning that Big Ten East. But as for Nebraska, Nebraska is a team who is actually playing extremely well right now. This is a team who is a very different team in comparison to how they were in Week 0. And this Nebraska team just blew out Northwestern last week, and this is a pretty good-looking Nebraska team as of right now. So that being said, should be a good one in Week 6. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Michigan is the 9th-ranked team in the nation, beat Wisconsin on the road 38-17 last week, and Michigan is for real. This team is playing very well right now, and I mean, after winning against Wisconsin on the road, I mean, it's a difficult environment, and I understand Wisconsin is struggling right now, but either way, still a solid win. They are 5-0 and still undefeated in this 2021 season. As for Nebraska, they beat up Northwestern 56-7 last week. That was a solid win for a Nebraska team that was only 2-3 heading into this matchup. So, yeah, for Nebraska, solid win there, and this is a team who's actually playing pretty well. I mean, they played close to Oklahoma, should have beaten Michigan State, and overall, this Nebraska team is looking pretty solid overall right now at 3-3. So definitely, this should not be underestimated in this matchup. Game will be on Saturday, October 9th, Lincoln, Nebraska, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So Cornhuskers are the home team in this matchup in a night game. We saw how it turned out in a night game last week for the Cornhuskers against Northwestern. But yeah, so it is a home game for Nebraska. Spread currently has Michigan by 3, so the spread is pretty close in this matchup. Over-under is 52. And your ESPN FPI is going with Michigan here, 63.2%. So Michigan is favored in this matchup, but slightly. So we don't see a very heavy favorite in this matchup. Series history, Michigan leads at 5-4. Win streak is Michigan by 1. And the last game was in 2018 when Michigan completely destroyed the Cornhuskers. So, but yeah, otherwise we haven't really seen Michigan and Nebraska play each other all that often since Nebraska joined the Big Ten. Here's your stat comparison for this matchup. Michigan's got 39 points per game, 12 points allowed. For pass yards a game, 181. Rush yards a game, 255. So rushing it for Michigan has been outstanding so far this season. And, of course, you got your quarterback, McNamara. He's also playing pretty well. He hasn't even thrown an interception yet in this 2021 season. And then for yards allowed for Michigan, I mean, this Michigan defense is tough to go up against. I mean, you got 170 pass yards allowed and then 115 rush yards allowed per game so far this season. And really, if you can keep that pass yards allowed number below 200, you're usually in a pretty good position. And Michigan has kept it below that number, and defensively, this team is looking very good. For Nebraska, 32 points per game, 15 points allowed. I mean, 32-15 is their points per game to points allowed per game, and this is a 3-3 football team. Kind of an interesting stat there. And then 266 pass yards a game, 237 rush yards. So obviously Nebraska with Adrian Martinez. I mean, Adrian Martinez, he's leading this team obviously in passing, but in rushing too. This team's got a few good running backs, or a couple, but I mean, Adrian Martinez has been the highest rusher so far for Nebraska. And then for yards allowed, 200 passing, 122 on the rushing end. Recent matchups, Michigan's got, once again, several pretty solid wins. Beat Wisconsin 38-17, beat Rutgers 20-13, but Rutgers heading in, I mean, Rutgers was looking like a pretty good football team, but obviously they got demolished by Ohio State last week. Then Northern Illinois, you beat them 63-10, beat Washington 31-10, and beat Western Michigan 47-14. As for Nebraska, 56-7 win over Northwestern, lost to Michigan State 20-23 in overtime. Once again, don't ask me how Nebraska lost that game. I mean, if you followed that game, I mean, Nebraska didn't even allow a first down in the second half of that game to Michigan State, but Spartans still got the win. And then Oklahoma was a close game, 16-23. Beat Buffalo 20-3. Beat Fordham 52-7. And then they lost to Illinois in the Week 0 game, which, once again, I've said this a few times, but this Nebraska team is completely different now in comparison to how they were in Week 0. In Week 0, this Nebraska team was looking like they were a terrible football team, it looked like, but now Nebraska's playing a lot better. exponentially better. Some key points for this one. Michigan's, of course, is 5-0. Best team Michigan has had in a few years, if you ask me. This Michigan team is very capable of potentially winning the Big Ten. Of course, they got to get past Ohio State first. That's been their big obstacle for many years, is getting past Ohio State. And if they can beat Ohio State this season, this Michigan team, they should be on their way to the Big Ten championship, which, of course, Michigan still has Penn State down the road. That's going to be a huge matchup as well. But, yeah, Penn State, Ohio State, all three of those teams, along with Michigan, are definitely capable of winning that Big Ten East. So it's a crucial game for Michigan here. Blake Corum, running back, is a major impact player. He's played very well so far this season. He's got, I think, over 500 yards through the past 5 games. So overall, solid start for him. And defensively, this team is tough to beat as well. Michigan has got a very talented defense, especially in the secondary. As for Nebraska, they're 3-3, completely different team than week 0. Once again, as I said earlier, Adrian Martinez is potentially the best quarterback in the Big Ten. That is not an overreaction. If you look at the Big Ten right now, C.J. Stroud is improving. Talia Tagovailoa just threw 4 picks against Iowa. Otherwise, I think Adrian Martinez is definitely a top 3, top 2 quarterback right now in the Big Ten Conference. He's leading the Huskers in rushing and in passing. Of course, the passing game for Adrian Martinez hasn't always been the best, but this season he's actually been pretty accurate. He's thrown several really impressive touchdown passes, and overall he's very improved from 2020. But the defensive side especially has been outstanding, and the offense is only improving for Nebraska. So that's why this team, I think, has got some big upside heading into the second half of this season. The defensive side all season has been great for Nebraska. This defense has been as good as it's been for Nebraska in years. But offensively, this team is only improving. That's the thing about the Huskers, is that this team is improving offensively and defensively as the season is going on. So with that being said, let's get to the prediction here for this game. Michigan, Nebraska. I am picking the upset, Nebraska 24-21. I'm going with the Huskers to get the win in this game. It's going to be very close. It's going to come down to the wire. I think we see a very good game in prime time on Saturday night, and Nebraska, being at home in the night game, is going to get the win 24-21. Looking at Nebraska right now, this is a team who has played very well for 4 or 5 straight weeks. They took a couple of losses there, but this team is only improving right now. And the only problem that this team has had in the past few games is shooting themselves in the foot and the special teams. And if that continues to improve, Nebraska is a very solid football team, actually. And I think with Nebraska being at home in a tough environment for Michigan, the Huskers get the win 24-21. I see tons of potential in Michigan as well, though. That's the thing. And that's what would be tough about a loss here for Michigan is, this Wolverine team is extremely talented. And, if you look at them defensively, they've been also outstanding. If you look at Michigan, this is a Michigan team that I could see winning the Big Ten East. And so that's why it's tough picking against them right now in this matchup. But Nebraska, I like this football team right now. Just looking at how much they've improved over the past few weeks, I got to go with the Cornhuskers here to pull the upset 24-21. But let me know your thoughts and comments below on this game, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Probability is 55% towards Nebraska. Your over-under is 52. I'm taking the under in this matchup. I'm pretty confident that we'll see the under just because we got 2 very good defenses going head-to-head. And, offensively, both teams are, they're decent. Nebraska's offense isn't quite as good as Michigan's, but defensively, both teams are extremely talented. So I think we see more of a defensive game here, but I'm taking the under. But that being said, I appreciate you guys all watching, though. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you guys later.